Hi everyone, welcome here. Welcome back. For those who are joining us who have been following through, this is session 3 of the Vineyard Creative Festival, and I just need to say, opening into this third session, I'm just so very grateful for what's gone on so far during this time. It's just what an incredibly rich time we've had. I can't stress enough how full it feels in my being, just kind of hearing from all of these, such a variety of creative people. You know, we have had fine arts represented, and there will be some more of that's going to be happening. Kind of what we conventionally call, art or creativity, but just some really, really beautiful pieces coming out of some unexpected places, reminding us that in meaningful ways, we are all super creative. We're made in the image of the creator of everything. And that is just something that has been brought home to me consistently throughout today. And so I'm really grateful to welcome you into this session. And for those who have followed along for the past couple of sessions, you'll be familiar with what I'm about to say. But I have made a commitment to be relentlessly boring about a couple of things throughout this, just to kind of help us set the tone and enter into a place of real generosity with one another, which is what we're receiving from our artists and our creatives during this time, is such a generosity, such a vulnerability. In and through all of this. And so the first thing to know is that this is not a highly professional kind of environment. We are in my studio space / office, and kind of working with what we've got tech-wise. And so we may run into a couple of technical issues. We've had a couple that have shown up. Nothing that's ruined, or wrecked the time, but just to sort of put that out there, that we may have some moments where we are fumbling with some technology, and so lots of grace all around is going to make that work beautifully. And the other thing to say is that this is so much about, in my mind, about a celebration of the creativity that's happening and kind of growing up around us, not just in this season, although a lot of what we've seen and what we'll see has come out of this time, this COVID kind of isolation period, however we want to define this. But also just to recognize that the lay of the land has shifted in such a way that even things that are old or that have been around for a while have taken on a distinct and new flavor or tone or meaning. And so creating space just to ask some of those questions. Just seeing some of the feedback coming up on the Facebook feed. Really grateful for the comments, for the encouragement. Thank you. And I'm so glad that it's resonating. And so to that end, I do want to encourage us to continue to use that Facebook feed. I'm not able to monitor the YouTube feed directly, just the constraints of what I'm able to run on the back end of my computer system. But on Facebook, we can actually interact somewhat. You'll see most of the comments at least. Try to. And so feeding back and kind of, if there's a moment that has a particular resonance for you, articulate that. Put that in the comments field, because it occurred to us earlier, and it's really resonated with me. When that happens, it almost is like we're singing together, or we are experiencing something together. We're allowing one another to share our filter and say, wow, this particular phrase or this particular image or whatever is just leading me in this place, or resonating this way or that way. And it just is such a mutual space. And gosh, we sure do need that right now. Sorry, use the word gosh, whatever. Anyway, we really do, because we're not able to share space in the way that we are accustomed to, or in some ways even designed to, right? And so this is a challenging time, but we do get to share time. And I'm just really grateful to be able to share time with you. So I'm going to just kind of open up with a bit of a prayer. Isn't that interesting language? I'm going to open up in prayer for this time, just to orient our spirits in the direction of what God is speaking to us. And then I'm going to invite Carly on to perform some music for us and share a song. I do want to say this though, we're orienting towards God, and we are going to see some stuff, some songs, some liturgies, some visual pieces that are worshipful. But we're also going to see some things that are kind of growing out of the dirt of the world that we live in, and that's actually a powerful way that God speaks to us. And so we're looking for God in familiar places, but also in unfamiliar and unexpected ways. And He's been really faithful to show up through that. So I'm not going to say too many more words. I do like to use my words. So let me just pray. Lord, thank you. Thank you for your presence to us. Jesus, we ask that as we step into this time together, that you would set us up towards your Spirit, that we would orient ourselves towards you, that we would catch the tone of your voice to us in this time. Lord, not just the substance, but the expression on your face, the kindness in your voice, the tonality, and that you would speak to us. And Lord, we thank you that you receive us as we are, in all of the vulnerability, in all of the honesty, God, in the joy, in the lament, in the beauty, in sometimes the pain. And so, God, we just invite you into all of it. We hold none of it back from you. In Jesus' name. Amen. I'm just going to give Carly just a quick heads up, so just bear with me for a minute here. And here we go. I'm grateful that you've chosen to spend your Saturday evening, afternoon, wherever this is finding you right now. All right, and so,
Hello.
hey, Carly, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We had a bit of a chance to catch up just before the call started here, and it's just always it's so good to see people you haven't seen for a while, and kind
It's
of
true.
pull the distance together a little bit. So Carly and we met. I guess it was a year ago. Really, we had a
Mhm.
retreat in Abbotsford, and it was a really rich time of sharing, and got a taste of your crazy ability to sing notes that are absolutely powerful. Oh, you know what I just realized is that people can't see you yet. Let me just fix that. There
Oh,
we go. People can now see you.
okay. Hello, everybody.
So yeah, I'm gonna give you the floor. You can introduce yourself, talk about what you do, and then share what you got. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Carly Ryerson. I am coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, where it's finally spring. And I've been in quarantine, self isolation, this whole thing for a couple months now. And if you don't know much about me, I'm a full time musician. And so creativity is not just my love, but it's my job. I teach music, I busk at the airport, I play at weddings or whatever. So it's really been a shift of this time of trying to navigate teaching online, and I can't play gigs. I lose a lot of income. And I just realized that, I just had no desire to do music for the first chunk of time. Um, and so I know that this creative conference is about, how has creativity been working and what are you creating? And I was just like, I haven't been creating. Um, but something else kind of cool happened. And I started to realize that with all of the time that I had, and I think a lot of other people are seeing that too, is, oh, I have other time to pursue other things. And I realized that my desire and my love to pursue other creative outlets in my life heightened. So I was just doing little things here and there, creative projects that I think I felt I put off for so long, and now I'm doing it because I have the time. But that was happening right alongside just having no desire to sing or do music. And I realized after I'd spent like an hour writing a poem one Sunday afternoon just for fun, that there was something really concrete about it. I started something, I finished, I was able to pour myself into something that I had a sense of control over. And looking at my situation, realizing that music and my job was now in the abstract. I don't know when I'm going to be able to play shows again. I don't know when I'm going to be able to record my next album. All of this stuff is now in this big gray question mark. But the things that I could control, like other avenues of creativity, were concrete. And that ended up being the thing that was serving me in this time of trauma, of unknowns, of questions. And so I kind of started to see, well, what is my soul being drawn to? And how is that kind of caring for my creative soul and my spirit? And so I guess that's kind of my question, or my kind of encouragement for whoever's listening, or for all of you out there in the church or just creative artists, is even though we may not realize it, and it may be some of us it affects more than others, I think we're all experiencing some type of loss, a lot of unknowns, a lot of change, and that can have a big effect on our emotions and on our body and on our spirit. And so how is creativity serving you in this time? Or how is it being used to kind of carry you through the unknowns or the questions about your future and your career, and what can you open yourself up to that maybe you haven't opened yourself up to in the creative realm, that would help nurture your soul and even connect with God. I go for walks every day, and that's a huge part of how I serve myself. And I mean, nature, I feel like, is God's art. And so that is a way I can connect on a spiritual level. But just on a soul level, what are the things that can serve us, and that we can care for ourselves and care for others around us, and nurture our connection with God as we create. So I'm going to share a song that I finished about 6 or 7 months ago. And it's about relationship, but it's called Spaces, and it's about the space between people and the unknowns, and not knowing what's going to happen, and trusting that relationship or things like that maybe are a little bit more concrete than we think, have the ability to endure trial and the test of time and the silence of the unknown. So this is Spaces. Between us, shake us, change us.
Wow.
Thank
Carly,
you.
I almost can't believe that that wasn't written out of the reality that we're in right now. Like it just feels so, like, honestly, I'm like, oh boy. Like, yeah,
Thank
just
you.
that, this idea of wrestling through the spaces that connect us or that separate us, and this, like the language of even breath, right? And how that's taken on just this other
Yeah,
level of, like it's life, but it's taken
right.
on this other level of complexity. I just so resonate with, how you've expressed that. I don't think I've heard that song before. Is that recorded somewhere yet?
No,
I look forward to that
you have to
time.
wait.
I look forward to that time. I also
Yeah.
really, I just wanted say thank you for saying the thing about just there can be a lot of silly pressure that gets put on people to be like their very best selves in a situation like we're facing, right? And and I was a little bit mindful of that, even in some of the languaging, like the messaging that went out about this particular event. Like it's
Right.
true that there's really significant work that's being done and people are responding, but it's
Mhm.
not. I think that it's a really important thing what you said, because we have to care for ourselves and we have to create spaces and capacity to say, actually, right now I need to not do this thing. And I
Yeah.
kind of actually honestly had sort of a similar thing where it's like my words, my songs dried up for a little while. They're starting to come
Yeah.
now again, but I really resonate with that and appreciate that you said that. And it reminds me, actually, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Canadian singer-songwriter Danny Michel. But he said something similar. He's one of our favorites, and he basically said, "You know what? I just can't right now, you guys." And and after about a month and a half, I think he started to come out and start to re-engage. But I want to say that as well to people who are listening, and not just to creatives, but I think in general there can be this sense like, almost like, well, if what's your excuse now, right? Like he got all this time, and that sometimes that's a myth for one. And then the
Yeah.
other piece is
Yeah.
that this is just a significant time where we're managing really intense terrain, and and sometimes it's really enough to do what I think we kind of you led us into there, which was to engage, where we've been and to look at it in a fresh way, given this new context, this new time.
Hmm.
So I really thank you for that gift. I feel like I mean, first of all, it's a beautiful song, so well done. But yeah, I just thanks for saying that and being honest about that, because I think it's
Yeah.
important.
I noticed it right away. It was like this influx of Instagram lives and gotta keep, we have all this opportunity. And yeah, I was just the same. I was like, I got nothing. I was also like, I had a cold and so I couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
But also it was just like, yeah, that pressure. But people need to understand that's why I talked about trauma. Like, whether you're fine or not, the world is in a state of trauma and that's going to
totally.
affect you regardless.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just my heart is that people would come into a revolution of rest.
Mm.
They understand the importance of it. They're like, "Oh wow, I this is why people take days off," or that they understand that the care for themselves must precede all of the work and the going out and giving of ourselves to other people.
Yeah, so good, so resonant. I'm just looking through the feeds. For some reason, my feed wasn't updating it, but it is now. And there's just a really strong resonance with people in responding to what you've given. Carolyn Vogel says here, as a person who loves to dance and worship, God speaks to me through spaces, invites me to join him in those spaces. And so found an invitation in that. And yeah, just the soothing. It just there's a catharsis, isn't there, in being able to articulate even the thing. Are we going to get through this? I mean, that's a really good line, because it's important for us to look at it. So I thank
It
you so
is.
much. I'm just going to quickly let Erica know that she's on deck. Is there anything, if you take like a minute or whatever, 30 seconds or something,
Um,
just to say what
I just, yeah, I think I just reiterate what I said by saying, like, have grace for yourself. There's always going to be things to do. Um, but with like, and with the extra time, then maybe you can see, well, I do have extra time then to have a little bit more grace for myself and try things maybe you wouldn't before, like color a picture, bake something, like try to engage with your creativity isn't in a box. And so try, this is a time where we can open ourselves up to new things and fun things. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
just fun and have grace for yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing your gift and for being part of this. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for having
Yeah,
me.
it was wonderful. All right, so I'll send you off into what we're calling the green space, the green room, which is all just sort of this digital ones and zeros kind of construct in the background. But
All right.
yeah, have a great, and I look
Yes,
forward to the next time we actually get to hang out.
of course.
So
Bye, everybody.
yeah, take care. And here we go. I'm just going to invite Erica to come into the presentation space here. Oh, and Arden is there too. That's awesome. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
It is so good to see you guys. Welcome
Wonderful
here.
to see you.
Yeah. So yeah, we like it feels like we go way back. I guess we sort of do. I mean, I think I met you guys in Nashville, kind of hanging out with Dan Wilt and some friends down there. What was that, 8 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I am so grateful for that you guys are a part of this and very excited for what you've prepared for us. So I'll kind of give you the floor for just to kind of introduce yourselves, speak
Sure.
to whatever you want to speak to, and then you just tell me when you want the video to roll, and we're gonna hope that this is a good
It's gonna be so
video
good. It's just
experience.
gonna be seamless.
Yeah, you got it. You guys have the floor. Go for it.
Okay. So I think everyone's just been voicing their gratitude, Chris. So I'm gonna voice it again. I think we've all found ourselves just emotional in just everything that has been shared, and if anything, it's just given me a profound awareness that it all belongs. There's a place for it all, and even what Carly shared just deeply resonated with me. That the lament, the spaces, the food, the songs of praise, the poems, there's space for it all. So just thank you again, Chris. So today I'm going to share a liturgy with you all. And just even in what Chris was saying about how we met, I was reminiscing about that time that we had together. And I think that was one of the first times that I kind of delved into this, a bit of a craft of spoken word and call and response liturgy. And I even found the crossover. If you know the meaning to the word liturgy, it actually means the work of the people. And so it's just deeply beautiful that this is what we're participating in today, is liturgy, the work of the people. And so this particular litany I wrote in the thick of winter in January. And we're from Alberta, and we like to complain about the weather a lot. Um, and most of it is true. And we were, in the deep cold and the deep snow. And then as this COVID stuff kind of unraveled, and we all spent Easter apart from our church families and our immediate families, even. People were waking up to green sprouts and even cherry blossoms, and we were standing on 3 feet of snow. And so it felt like we were still in like our seventh winter. So I felt like it was just important, an important thing to say again and to sing again. Um, last week when we were on a Zoom call with our church community, Old Strathcona Vineyard, Arden just said something about the reorienting nature of liturgy, and of saying things aloud into time and space. So maybe you could just share what you said.
Sure, I don't have a lot. I just find, particularly in these times of chaos and these times of uncertainty, that a liturgy is a centering kind of element in all of it. It's a way of bringing us back to kind of a balance, and it's a way of grounding us. So when things are feeling very chaotic, it feels like it's very, well, I mean, it's very much like speaking word over the chaos, and I just find it tremendously meaningful and impactful in times of chaos, because actually vocalizing some of the things is just it provides a routine. It provides kind of a structure to all of it, and then it just kind of lets you feel at home a little bit. So.
Yeah. So the litany that I'm going to share today is called, I just called it a litany for holding on. And I think I want to invite you to participate. Chris is going to have the words scrolling on the screen as well. And it's a sung response. And I kind of wanted it to work almost like an inhale and an exhale. I think we're all feeling the catharsis of that today. And so the response is just hallelujah. And when I think about us all participating in this across the world, it just gives me shivers, because that is deeply profound, and we're not sharing space. But just to get philosophical for a moment, I wonder if we are, right? If the expanse of our heart is actually taking up space together. So yeah, this is a litany for holding on.
Beautiful. All right, here we go.
Triune God, Father, Son, Spirit, in you we live and move and breathe. Jesus Christ, firstborn over all creation, the Word made flesh, image of the invisible God. In you all things were created and find their place. All of our beginnings and all of our ends, you are before all things, and in you all things have been made. Yeah. our groanings, fears, spoken and unspoken longings, sorrows, grievances, tears, complexities, waverings, and losses. Nothing slips through the cracks. Nothing is lost in your spaciousness. You hold it all, and in you all things exist and dwell. All the threads and strands, fraying and loose ends are gathered up, woven and held by you. Nothing goes to waste, and you never let go. Holding on to us, creating, recreating, making new, pursuing, mending, healing, reconciling, renewing, making whole. Everything, absolutely everything finds its home in you. We find our home in you. All the broken and dislocated people and things, animals and atoms, you hold it all, and you hold us all.
Friends, thank you for that gift. I'm just seeing some of the resonances that are coming up on the feed, right? Just people restating some of these beautiful things that are not just true, but I think beautifully true. You know, not just a declaration of some kind of I don't know what I'm trying to say, flag waving or something, but no, something that's genuinely beautifully true. I feel like you've reached into some mud and you've pulled up some pearls for us in this space, and so I just really thank you for that. And yeah, I genuinely, I'm having a bit of a bit of a moment here, so I appreciate that. I'm just looking here through the rest of the comments feed that seems to be populating a little more slowly on here this afternoon, but yeah, that just seems to be the space that a lot of people are the word undone is coming up more than once. And so thank you for the space that you've created there, and I just want to speak to this for a minute. When we encounter something that's beautiful and truth that's beautiful, and we feel like we come undone, I think that is a very truthful response to something that is the beautiful work of God. And so just to kind of pay attention to that, to that thing that is resonating, it's like, you know, the violin strings are resonating, and they're resonating so much like a human voice, but that's what's happening, is they're reverberating. And that's kind of, I think that's what we use the language undone, or you know, it's like, well, what's happening is we're being played by the Spirit of God in a kind, gentle, and beautiful way. I think that's part of what's taking place. And so thank you for leading us into that. As I get ready to invite Rick onto the stream, I just want to give, if you guys want to take a minute or two, just any parting words or just anything you want to say right now, you're welcome to say it.
I think what Carly gave voice to just before me in the revolution of rest. I think this past week I was reading a piece by a mutual friend of ours, Matt Downey. Mm-hmm. And she wrote on her blog, and I don't remember the exact words, but I was like nearly viscerally resonant with what she was saying, in that comparison is still a thief of joy. Our lives are still full, and we are in the midst of a traumatic world event. And so giving permission and space to not create, but to actually sit in the feeling. And that's what Matt was saying, was actually, what if we didn't respond or have this kind of creative, I have to say something, or I have to make something. And what if we just sat with the feeling? And I think that's where I'm leaning towards, and that's where I'm finding myself, is I don't want to call this a dry spell creatively. There are little seeds still germinating, and who knows, it might be a year down the line that I actually make something from this time. But just to give space for rest and to feel the things right now.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think that's a really important thing to just continually extend to one another, is the grace to be, right? Mm-hmm. The grace to respond in this season in a way that is like how the resonances of this time, right? And it's beautiful. It's really important. And yeah, thanks for being part of this. Really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your wisdom. And Erica, if I can just, gush just for a moment, your words have been such a gift to me in such difficult moments, or moments where I feel like I'm not sure. I just get caught up in all my doing. And I would say more than once there have been moments where something that you've created has brought me into a space of remembering remembering that I can rest in Jesus. And so I just want to thank you for that. I appreciate it. It's good work. It's really,
I received that, Chris.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, well, great affection, friends. And as we've been saying to many, many people, friends who are spread out and, in most normal circumstances, we would have hung out sooner than we have. So I look forward to the next time we actually get to share air. But in the meantime, this has been beautiful. Thanks, friends.
Till next time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and so I'm just going to queue up to bring Rick over to join us, Rick Berry, who is another great friend, and I'm really excited for what he has to share with us. Mr. Rick.
Hi.
Hey, man. Oh, you are potent. That's good. This is working.
Oh, was I potent?
Loud. in a good
okay.
way. Sorry, that was a strange use of
No,
language.
I thought I'd use the mic because if I just used the ambience around here, the sounds would be, this is better.
Yeah, for sure, man. Welcome here. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to see you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that Rick needs much of an introduction, but, perhaps to some. So Rick pastors in the East Coast, and he is a really tremendous and established artist and painter. And also, I just have such a deep affection for the level of thought, the depth of thought that you've put in. I mean, you have logged some serious time and some serious hours thinking about creativity and how it manifests itself, what it means to us, what it means for community, and I just really appreciate that. So with that, I'm just going to give you the floor. You can introduce yourself and do what you tell me when you want me to play that video, and I'll pull it up.
Okay.
And,
Not yet.
Yeah, you just tell me when I'm at your service, my friend.
Good. And usually I show the image right away, but I need to preamble.
Go for it.
A little bit, preface it or whatever. But the image that I've painted, when we were in 2 months ago, when we were at the prayer summit in Edmonton, I had this idea, and it wasn't fully evolved, and so I did an image. I think I called it Solitude. Anyway, I can't remember, but do you remember? No, that wasn't God. That was my wife.
I was going to say that's exactly what that looked like.
So then we got home. A month later, we were into isolation, and this was really a big shock. It has been for everyone in our nation or around the globe. And at first, we were the first stuff that was going on, and the image I'm going to talk about is called Solitude Shatters. And the first thing that was going on was we were all thinking about do we stockpile food? And yes, I got a lot of toilet paper and all of that stuff. And then as a few weeks rolled by, I realized that something of the old life that we had been living its framework was starting to crumble, and maybe in a good way. At first, I thought it was a bad way. At first, I got my financials to see how my portfolio was doing, and that was not good. But since then, I decided not to think about that at all. And across Canada, we've had connection with people doing creative things in our church, creative things on Zoom crazy, and in our family as well. We've actually had more face-to-face with so many people than we ever did before. Now, I'm not saying I like this, but I'm saying something has shattered. Something of the illusion of what solitary living, where you have everything in control in your life, and now you don't have it. With imposed social distancing, we don't have control. And it's like God got us back. It's like God sort of got a hold of us, and in our areas of creativity and purpose and significant relationships, I don't know, these things are front and center. So, Solitude Shatters, which is an ambiguous title. It could be that solitude as we've known it has been shattered, it shatters, or it could be that the solitude we've been going through and experiencing is shattering something around us. And so could you show that little 1-minute video clip, and I'll talk during it because it's got no sound.
Yeah, you got it. I'll bring it up here in just a moment.
Okay.
Let me make sure, first of all, that you will be able to be heard. Actually, this might just take a...
Testing.
Yeah, this might take a minute because I should have thought about this. So let's see how it works.
Okay, good.
We're going to bring the image up, and then we're going to give me about 10 seconds to get something figured out, and we're probably going to restart it. I think is how this might need to work. So just bear with me.
And in the meantime, am I still on the screen?
You're still on the screen right now, but you won't be in a second. So
Okay.
yeah. This is Chris running tech in the wild west here. So, oh no, we'll be fine. I think we're actually okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
You need to be able to see it. I'm going to restart this anyways. Just 1 second here, Rick. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay, good. So, as often, I begin with lots of colors all over the place, and creativity often comes to me out of the flourishes of color. And then I began to put an image into those colors, letting it come forwards. And it's an image of someone saying, shush. And watch the colors begin to shift and change. And then it looks like something around it, pieces are coming apart. It's almost like a mirror shattering. Something is blowing apart. And this is over 2 days of painting. And I know when it's done because there'll be a little signature on the bottom. Think about what is the impact as you look at it. What is the impact for you? Good.
Yeah, I'd love to pull that up as a still.
I've got the original right here too.
Oh, you do? Perfect. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'd love to actually get people to just an encouragement for folks to respond with Rick's question there. What you know?
Yeah. What do you see? How does it impact you? There's no right or wrong answer, unless you see a duck in it or something. There's no duck, but that's an old joke.
That's funny.
So, one of the thoughts that I had while I'm waiting for some questions was that, you know how Jesus said once, he said in John, he comes back after the resurrection and he's among the disciples and he says, peace be with you. He blows on them, receive the Holy Spirit. But he says about peace, he says, my peace I give you. Not the way the peace of the world, but my peace is different. And I have a feeling like that's what's going on for me in this chaotic painting, a shattering of all kinds of structure and things that maybe it's an image of myself, the image is shattered, whatever it is. And Jesus' peace comes. That's what breaks in. So it's something new. It is earth-shattering. It is very much like many of us expected. Some kind of tidal wave was coming this year. We had no idea it was the COVID virus, but we knew something was coming. And you see in the colors there, there is sort of a breaking through, but there is also a kind of an idea that keep on with solitude as we go forwards, because you've not been this way before. None of us have. And we really need to hear that inner voice of God speaking and inspiring us. And the other cool thing is the creativity is more vital and vigorous and ready and burgeoning like spring. It's all around us. Everywhere we talk, the music we've been listening to, the images, the ideas, the poetry. There is something that is, I don't want to say birthing us, more of blooming, bursting through. That's it. Did anything come up, Chris?
Oh yes, a whole host of things. I'm just going to turn this over here so that we can see a whole host of things. I can't keep up. This is beautiful. So we have perceptions shattering in silence. silence being shattered. Somebody sees a mirror shattering where they don't see themselves anymore, but they see God coming through.
Good.
Yep, silence shattering perceptions. The shush is shattering everything that needs shattering. I think
Shush
some of the
shatters.
I think some of the political this is another. I think some of the political stuff, trying to shush people in yet another level in the turmoil, shaking. Just go relax into rest. Well, like absence can be stronger than presence sometimes. That's interesting. Absence can be stronger than presence sometimes. What I've kept secret because of shame needs to be spoken, because Jesus breaks the shackles of shame. Like this is just wonderful. The silencing of untruths we've believed for so long.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, they all are, but that's good.
Yeah.
Silencing.
Yeah. It's
Silencing. There's a breaking through of truth and a new way of reading Jesus, understanding how he impacts our world.
yeah.
For me, I find insular living, where you live to take care of your own, it's insidious and it's really come to the forefront. It's something that I've seen breaking in me.
Interesting.
We long for connecting with people. Anything else, Chris?
Yeah, I'm just I don't my comments feed hasn't updated, so if I'm missing anyone's, that's sorry about that. But one of the things that I see, I can't help but notice, is the color palette that you have in terms of this, sort of on the surface of things, something that might look like a conventional beauty, but without color. It's nighttime or it's colorless, one or the other, or there's like a muted tone, and then
monochrome,
coming out from that is an explosion of not just light, but actually a variety of color. So I noticed that as well in this, and
that's it. I mean, I like that. Good description. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, the curator. Yeah.
I love this. I love here's an interesting other thought. We had an explosion of people interacting with this image, and it taking on such a variety of significance. And Rick, I'm sure some of that was in your mind or heart as you were painting this, but I'm willing to bet not all of that language was part of your.
No, there's so much discovery in it. It has a life of its own. I think that's art by nature of inspiration, but I think it's also the way the Holy Spirit gets a hold of us. We're journeying along. We think we know where we're going, and along the way it shifts, and new meaning comes out of it. And that certainly for me. And when I did attempted this the first time as an idea 2 months ago, I had to stop halfway through, and I told Kathy, my wife, I said, I know we both were talking about what the image was going to be, but I said I really wanted it to stay right there. You can check on my website. You'll see it's a different figure of solitude, but the shattering part, which really covers over everything, I didn't quite. It was a threshold I wasn't ready to do. I don't know when you have something really nice and you don't want to put stuff over top of it.
There's courage in that, because you can't pull that back once you've put a bunch of white on top of in terms of it. I'm guessing it's pretty tricky to undo that kind of. But I love. I'm so grateful, Rick, that you had the forethought to recognize that there was going to be a process, and to capture the process the way that you did is beautiful. I think that's a really important component in taking this in.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Lovely. I'm just going to read a couple of other things, and then for the sake of time, I need to queue up for Krista. But I do I want to read a few of the things. Comments coming in. Be still, follow on, keep on, write on. I really like this comment. Not that we have to be comparative. I like this comment more than that comment or whatever. But I resonate with this. I resonate with blooming, blossoming. Yes, and I don't know if this is how you meant it, but I like a yes that blooms and blossoms is how I understand that comment, and that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's goosebumps.
It really is. Really is.
Good.
So people can find this like on your website. If they are they able to see that process or not this one yet, or
I will put the process picture and the painting on my website tomorrow.
okay.
I just finished it today, so
Have you sold it yet?
haven't had a chance to. But the video, little clip of the process, I like to do that. It's always helpful.
Yeah.
And the image will be on tomorrow. But what would be really cool is to have some of the feedback, which I'll go to. I guess it's all on Facebook,
It's
right?
all
So I
it's
can go
all
there
under
and
the
see it.
feed. Yep, you can see all of it.
Yeah, I'm old. So, yeah. It's Facebook, right?
It's Facebook.
Okay.
You got it, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Bless you all.
Thank you, Rick. Just what I forgot to queue up Krista here, so I'm just going to give her like a 30-second notice here. So, did you any 30-second parting thought from Rick Barry?
Oh, for me to say something?
Yep.
Be parting thought?
Yeah.
I challenge you to a duel. No, do some painting. Do some painting. Who cares? Do it and see what you get. And let's collaborate. So do a song, somebody. Solitude Shatters.
There you go. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick. I really
All right.
appreciate
Bless
this.
you all.
That was a gift. Krista Hyde.
Hello.
Hey. So, welcome here. We're kind of whiplashing a little bit. We were just, I don't know if you're able to follow along. Rick presented his painting. Did you see that?
I just got a little bit and then my Wi-Fi died, so I'm hoping it will last.
Okay. All right. Well, let's, it looks really sharp right now. So that's encouraging. So, hey, this is my good friend, Krista, who is joining us, and Krista's been super helpful over the last couple of years with me, kind of helping to give some shape to Vineyard Creative. And I also just really, while I'm thinking about it, I want to do a shout out. Luke Vandevert was super helpful for getting stuff together to promote this particular gathering, and so I want to shout out, thank you, Luke, for just helping out, putting together that video and being a sounding board, and also Marianne, who is our administrative person at the Guelph Vineyard, has been amazing this week, helping me put stuff together. So while I'm thinking about it, looking at a colleague and a comrade, I was like, I better not forget others. So, but anyway, this is Krista. I'm a big fan of Krista. I'm so grateful that she's here to share some stuff with us and make time. And over the last little while, one of the things that I've really appreciated. I can be a results person. I can be focused on getting an end result, and Krista also gets really good end results in her work, I have to say. But she has such a commitment to the process, the creative process, and is a champion for that. And so that's just something. I don't know if that's where you're going to go with this today, but I wanted to shout that out and say that's been a real gift to me. So that's everyone, Krista Hyde, I'm just going to give you the floor and take it away.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Krista. I'm from Winnipeg Centre Vineyard. I've been there for the last probably 17 years or so. So my husband and I have been eldering the last little while, and we're kind of nearing the end of that term. But I'm on the creative team. I'm a worship leader, preach from time to time, so quite involved. I've been helping Chris the last couple of years with the national creative team, which has been a really great joy to work with him for that. So right now, though, I think I resonate with Carly in that things just kind of stopped, and I suddenly have had 3 kids at home, grade 3, grade 5, and grade 7, and they wake up before me and they challenge me to go to bed close to my time too. So it's very, as an introvert, it's very hard to find time for yourself. And that finding time for yourself is how I think and process. So right now my house is empty, and I think it might be the first time I've been home in an empty house in 7 weeks or something. So it's a bit of a strange moment, but so what I love, like Chris said, I love the creative process. I'm working on a graduate degree, and that's something that I love, thinking about the creative process and how that relates to and overlaps with spiritual formation. how in the act of noticing things, we can encounter God and we can wrestle with God and we can be formed and changed. And so I like products, but I love process. And particularly over the last couple of years, thinking about expressive arts and trauma and how there are seasons of our life where words just won't cut it and we can't get deep enough. And but there's something in artistry and creativity in just taking that step that can unlock something. And so, so for me, the creative part I want to share is kind of not really something that I normally do, but we've been home for 7 weeks with all the kids, and it's very loud and very noisy all the time. And I had a lot of grief because my husband and I were supposed to go on a trip to Italy and Greece and walk in the steps of Paul and do all sorts of things, and that just was all canceled. And instead of getting a getaway, we got lots of time with constant kids. So it was a shift. And so there was grief I knew I had to process, and also, just the world feeling a little unstable, not sure where things are going to end up, and having no time to myself. I knew there was a lot I had to process, but there was no time. So I had a need. I felt a need that I needed to express something, and I need to have space to encounter God. So I thought, well, what can I do in this season that is something that I can actually tame? Because I love what Rick does and I love to do big canvases, but in this season with kids around all the time, it's not possible. So I thought I had a couple of stipulations. I had to find something that was not large, something that could not be too messy, something that I could get interrupted 100 times and I could still come back to and it wouldn't get wrecked. And something preferably that was quiet or maybe even nonverbal, just because those were what I needed to help process my life right now. And so, what I came up with was, I think Bonnie and Chris both talked about this morning, but I looked across the street and some neighbors had put up some poster board in their window, a little message or a greeting across the street. And I thought, oh, I could do a little picture and do something back. And so this was the first one. I decided to just draw a flower. And this was the first one that I did. It turned out like this. So one big poster board, and all I needed was a pencil and a Sharpie and some deep watercolors. And it probably got interrupted multiple times along the way, but you could come back to it. So that was the first one. And it was a little lone picture in my window. And then slowly over time, I began to add to it. So that one started in March, and we added like a little hummingbird, and then added some other things. And so I created a little video of the little pieces that I added, and Chris has that to share. But it's a process thing, and it's about having fun and playing, because we know that when we slow down to play, there's just peace that can come over us. And when we're feeling anxious, we don't play. We don't take time for that. And so this was an excuse to play with my kids and to just find delight in art together. So. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love the way that you framed the journey up to this. And I know we talked about the loss of that trip, and it was like, really feel that for you. That's a hard thing. But I'm grateful for the wisdom of your spirit to find a capacity to play. I'll pull up the video. Thank you for actually holding it up, because it gives a sense of scale, which is really cool. So yeah.
Yes, made with just me, but look how large it is. Like,
wow.
It's kind of overpowering, but to have a nest with birds and
that's very awesome. I love
it.
At
a time hatched, and just a fun process. So.
You got big smiles from Liv with the bird nest. I need to, for sure. All right, I'm gonna pull up the video, and so we can take this in. Thank you. Let's and we're gonna, as we're doing every time we pull up a video, we're gonna hope for the best. I think that doubled up, right? That started to loop.
Oh, it's just the audio in an iMovie. And
Oh, so I
so it went
cut.
a little bit longer, but
I
that's
oh,
okay.
I
You
cut it.
can,
I cut it short. Oh, that's awful. I'm so
but-
sorry.
and all I have at the end is that I just have the nest came up, all the birds hatched, and then maybe I could show it here. In the window, I put up the words all around, hope is springing up from this old ground.
Oh, yes.
So that's kind of the finale of the windows. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for the gift of that. And to everyone who's following, I'm so sorry. There's a feature where I can loop a video, and so I thought maybe I accidentally clicked on that. I'm just seeing the feed kind of blow up here with people just resonating so strongly with, with just the beauty and the joy and the gift. I'm not sure. Do you have the Facebook feed up? Were you able to see some of
No,
these
I
comments?
can't because it'll cut my
Yeah,
mic.
no, that's no worries. So yeah, there's just one of the themes that seems to be really coming up is how you took something that was challenging, tried to find a way that was not like a forced kind of I need to respond this way so that I can have my creative stripes and be the creative person that or whatever. But you did actually create something quite beautiful in your creativity, and it's a gift to your neighborhood. And as a former Winnipegger, I noticed the shot of the outside of the snow. I mean, this is not, you're not doing this as somebody else talked about the cherry blossoms.
Not competing with the actual flowers, that's for sure. So, yeah.
And so so I hear in that the hopefulness as well, right? Just kind of like this is coming and we are going to celebrate it. So yeah, the feeds, honestly, I can't keep up. I'm loving this.
One thing I would mention is that doing this, I'm an Enneagram 7 and an introvert, and it was very tempting for me to long to be on my vacation or long to get past this or long to have quiet time or do something like that's my tendency is like looking for the next thing. And so doing this, it's just poster board and a Sharpie and a pencil and cheap watercolor paints and being present with my kids ended up bringing, a lot of fulfilling meaning for me, which is really powerful to just do the next thing, being present with your kids. You take what life is giving you at this moment and you can find beauty and create beauty right there. So
so good. Thank you for I just love it. Thank you for sharing this. And I'm just loving the encouragement that I see in kind of coming out of the comments on the feed. You'll have to go back and look it up. I think you will also be encouraged by that. So thank you so much. We're not too bad. We're running about 5 minutes behind. I'm just gonna queue up Irene to come onto the call. Krista, we've been sort of doing this where it's like, hey, if you've got like 20-30 seconds just to sort of you sort of did it there, but just a send off or a final word would be great.
yeah, I think one question that has been really helpful in thinking about expressive arts is just silence, like taking time to slow down and think, what do I need right now, and how can I address that in some way? So I recognized that I had a need to express and to encounter God, and so to me that came through creativity and through this drawing. But to you, it could be something else. But taking that time to slow down, acknowledge your needs in this season, and give yourself grace and just even little windows of time to help that can be really life-giving. So. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well, thank you and bless you and Cliff. I mean, you guys know you're dear friends, and it's good to see you. Hope really good things for you, and I do hope that you get that trip come back your way somehow. But yeah. Anyway, much affection. Thank you for doing this. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm just going to move you over to the green room, and then we'll introduce Irene. So we'll see you later, Krista. There we go.
Hi.
Irene, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Having this really encouraging day. It's just been. I'm not sure if you've been able to tune in a whole lot, but it's been
Yes.
such an encouragement just to
Oh,
see the all of the life and the explosion of creativity that's happening. And also in the wrestle, right? Like just like both. And I love that there's been space made for both. So, anyways, Irene, we haven't really met. We had an interaction on a Zoom call yesterday, but yeah, we're just really grateful that you are part of this. And I'm just going to kind of give you the floor to introduce yourself, and then we do have a slideshow I think queued up, and so you just let me know when you want me to pull that up, and we can take it from there. Sound good?
okay.
Awesome. So everyone, this is Irene.
Thank you. Well, I haven't done anything like this before, so this is all new to me. I believe we need to be who God created us to be, and God gives us, he decides to do what he does. And so about 5 years ago, we went to Europe celebrating some things, and I came back with this, I have to paint. I have to learn how to paint. So watercolors is what came out. And so maybe you could show that first painting, the one with the yellow of Jesus. Anyway, so
this is so that Jesus. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll pull this up so that you can see it actually as well. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, awesome. So this picture had been percolating in me for, say, about 4 years or so. I just I wanted to be able to express something where I could be able to accurately, this is why it took so long to actually get it on paper, is because I wanted to accurately present how God sees us, how Jesus sees us. And so often when we read something or in the Bible and we just don't get it. And so I was trying to portray, a couple of different things that I had been wondering about is, should I have the words coming out of his hands into us and infiltrating into the person that's sitting there? And I just really was struggling with trying to portray that God loves us. Jesus is happy. He is happy over you. He sings over you, and he delights in you no matter what your struggle, what your frustration, what your fears. He loves you. He's covered you. He's got this. And so I started painting this one shortly after Christmas and finished it probably, I think it was about just before we started going into quarantine here in the West Coast, which would be just before spring break, middle March.
Sure.
Anyway, so that's the title of this painting is called Remind Me. So whatever it is that you need reminding of, is it peace? Is it God's got this? Is it you're going to be okay? Is it your sins have been wiped out? Whatever it is, because each of us have different issues. Each of us have different things that we struggle with. And so that's kind of the story of that painting. And it's just a reminder for us, what does God say about you? Not what am I feeling, but what does God say? And let's stand on that. Let's take that one to the bank, kind of, so to speak.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. It occurs to me looking at this, how important, it feels to me like the hands are very important. It seems like there's a lot of thoughtfulness in terms of their placement and what they're kind of conveying. I don't, I just really appreciate that, the kindness of, and there's sort of an enveloping that I see happening in there. But it's something that really jumps out for me. Some comments here are coming out about the colors being royal colors, and just this idea of having, like, expressing through paint, capturing your heart, right? Capture, like, what was in your heart to share, how that translated. There's comments about how Jesus looks so pleased in this.
Yeah, that's why I so struggled with this, because, we can kind of, in our growing up years, think of God as, he's, well, you didn't get it right here, like, man, you messed up there. But that's, his sacrifice covered all those things, right? And his blood covers us, and he sees us as clean.
Yeah, there's just lots of comments. It's great. There's love this. This is what we need to be. What is it? Love this. What is it we need to be reminded of? Is one of the comments.
Whatever is on your heart that you're struggling with.
Yeah. No, it's just it's a beautiful. It's almost a leading question in that sense. It's wonderful. And shall I move to the next painting?
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful. Here, let me. There we go.
Okay, so this next one is a scene outside of Fort Langley, BC. I'd taken this photo a number of years ago, and I knew it had to. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. I hope that works okay.
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So I knew this had to be translated into a painting, and this spring was when I knew it was what I had to paint. And I thought its name was Hope. But then God told me its name is Hope Springs Eternal. And the reason what speaks to me, maybe it speaks something else to you, but what it speaks to me is hope. Hope. Where is your hope? Is our hope in the government's going to rescue me out of this? Is my hope in God? Is my hope in, I don't know, you fill in the blanks, but where is your hope? And the next word is springs. God promised Noah that as long as time remained, there would be seed time and harvest. Spring has something of speaking to us of renewal. Spring, I love walking in the woods and smelling the fresh poplars. That's got to be one of my favorite smells. And just the hope that spring brings to us. Yes, winter's over. I'm so glad winter is over. I hate the gray, and we have a lot of gray here. But that was the hope that came together with spring. And then the word eternal is let's fix on doing things that are of eternal value, where our hope is in eternal things, not just necessarily physical earthly things. So that's basically it.
It's wonderful. Looking at some of the comments again coming in, just really encouraging. And one of the things that really jumps for me actually is, it sort of disappeared on my thread here, but somebody piped in and said, "I know this spot," right? And one of the things that is interesting to me is how it's like in a conversation with the Lord, He framed, and you together framed this, right? It framed a spot that actually exists. This moment of like, I mean, this is a place. There's an incarnational like reality to this, and there's a frame around it that then starts to communicate these beautiful truths. And I also find it really interesting that the Lord kind of almost seems to have reframed, like you had the first idea of it, but then the two other words, springs eternal, and kind of just to continue creating a frame around this. And so that's the word that pops out for me in this, and just the cool thing of somebody seeing that and going, that brings me to I know where that is. brings me to a place. Yeah, I find that really encouraging. So a few other comments here. I want to climb over that fence. And yeah, I love the bark on the birches, the spring skies, reflections in the water. Amazing. Yeah, I think it's super helpful for us to have these really hopeful images to resonate with. Thank you for giving a visual language to your journey. So what's next? Like, are you kind of, like you said that you're sort of stepping into this painting time? What's that story look like for you?
Well, right now I'm kind of on hold. We've got my mother-in-law living with us while she go into residential. So I've found I'm not really a great caregiver, although I just have to remind myself that God loves me and he's patient with me because it's challenging having somebody come live with you and who has little early onset dementia, but not always remembers the things that are important to her, which are not necessarily important to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm retired, so it's a different life than a lot of people who have been on before. But I find I need to get out of the house every other day, and that first painting there, I need to remind myself of how God sees me, and remind myself that I need to see other people the same way.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and just kind of being vulnerable. I just realized that people I haven't pulled down can't see us talking. There we go. Oh. Yeah, I just thank you for your vulnerability in that. And I think that's a really important theme that's coming out throughout the course of this time. It's that there's creativity that's taking place in these beautiful pieces that capture something or tell a story or lead us in a particular direction. But the setting of it is always real life. It's always sort of the honest, and which is often, it's often a struggle is a significant part of that. And so I think that's something we really need to create space for in this. And I thank you for sharing that. It's been very, very encouraging. So I'm just going to queue up our next presenter. So as we've been doing, I don't know if there's something that you just kind of want to a parting thought that you want to leave with us while I type to Irene here. Yeah, that'd
sure.
be great.
Just the one thing that we've been really encouraging ourselves with in this last little while is listening to podcasts, YouTubes, whatever you want to call these things. I'm not techie. Things that talk about truth. Mm-hmm. Who does God say you are? And another thing we've been doing is we've been having communion every evening, my husband and I, and just to keep grounded in God.
That's awesome. Again, I sort of not to project all my own stuff, but I can hear the framing of your time in a way that is helpful. So. Well, God bless you in the realities of life, and thank you so much for sharing. And I'm just so pleased that you're able to join us in this.
Well, thanks.
So,
bye-bye.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah.
And we are going to welcome here. We're going to welcome Abby onto the call. I think I'm doing this in the right order. Hey, Abby, welcome here. Now, you are joining us from Tennessee, I think, correct? Oh, I can't hear you yet.
Yeah.
Oh, there. I heard something just there.
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
No.
There we go. Talk loud. I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can do that.
Awesome. So welcome.
Does that hurt?
Yeah, we're good. So welcome here. Thanks for being interested and willing to come and to hang out in this space. It's been such an encouraging day so far. So Abby and I, we don't know each other, so I don't have a lot of history here. So Abby, maybe what I'll do is just kind of give you the floor, and you can set the stage for the video that we'll play. in a minute and play your song. So yeah, everyone, this is Abby.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you for having me today. Like I said, I know we don't know each other, but a good family friend sent me a link to sign up, so I'm just really thrilled to
Awesome.
be able to part in today. Yeah, I live in Nashville, Tennessee with my husband Joel and our 3-year-old daughter Quinn. And I have been a worship leader and singer-songwriter for a long time, but only recently have really started putting in the time and effort into kind of getting my songs into shareable formats. So the video we're going to be playing was released a few weeks ago, and I'm just still really excited and proud of it, and just couldn't be more thrilled with the way that it turned out. So maybe a little background on the song. It's called Wilderness, and I actually wrote it back in October of last year. And I hadn't written a new song in a few years, and was really just feeling, honestly, a little convicted about just kind of stewarding that gift. And so I went outside on my porch with my keyboard and, just started praying, and the Lord just said, write whatever you feel like you can say honestly right now. And the song just came out. And it's really fascinating to me because that was months ago, and with what myself and my family have gone through the last couple months, I just really felt like the Lord gave me that song in the previous season I was in for the season that I'm in now. And so some of you watching might know back in March, there was an EF3 tornado that came through Nashville.
Yeah.
And our neighborhood was actually one of the ones that was hit. The tornado went through the neighborhood. And it was completely terrifying. I'm from Indiana, so I'm used to lots of watches and warnings, but hadn't really been actively in a tornado before. And so my daughter and I were home alone, and it was 12:30 in the morning. Luckily, I was still awake, and I got her out of bed. And our neighbor, we don't have a basement. Our neighbor had said, you can come anytime there's a tornado watch or warning. You can leave it unlocked. You can use our basement. So I scooped up my daughter, and we tried to get outside to get in the neighbor's basement. And I took one step outside and just knew it was totally the Holy Spirit. I just knew that it was too late. We weren't going to be able to make it over there. So we ran back through the house, got in the bathtub, and within seconds, the tornado was there. And I don't remember a lot. I just remember holding my daughter and praying, and just not being sure if we would make it through the tornado. But we did, praise the Lord. And, going from that experience to being displaced during a pandemic has been a roller coaster, to say the least. Kidding. So I would definitely say that I've been in a wilderness type of season, lots of questions for the Lord through all of this. So I did jot some notes down, and I'm just going to read really briefly before we head over to the video. So when I wrote the song, the word wilderness just came out in the moment as how I was feeling then. But now that I've gone back and really evaluated what the word wilderness means, there's just a lot of richness and depth there. The wilderness is a place uninhabited by humans. It's a pathless place, so the way to go might be unclear. But I found out that it's also a part of a garden that's devoted to wild growth. I'm not much of a gardener at all, so I didn't know that before. But I absolutely love that. And just as I was praying about what to share today, I just really felt like that was something that I just wanted to relay. That just encouraging us in this time to devote, set aside time to allow the Lord to grow us in ways that are maybe unplanned, and just being open to that growth. So anyway, that's all I have. And I did want to let you know, I know there have been a little bit of tech issues with using videos today, so I am somewhat prepared to share it live if I need to. But
okay. Yeah, I think I'm at about a solid 80% that we're going to be fine with that. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that story and the shape of that. There's so much that, I mean, we'll get to the song in just a second, but that is that's the Lord has. We've talked about this a little bit today, like just the expense of our art, the expense of our language that sometimes comes out. We sing certain things, and then suddenly they take on a whole new meaning, and it's like, there's a part of, I just really resonate with that, with kind of walking through that and feeling the burden of some of the declarations, and not in a necessarily a bad kind of a burden, but just knowing that it costs something to trust Jesus sometimes, and sometimes more than others, right? And so thank you for being so vulnerable with that. And it's just, and we've got some folks here too who have connections to Australia, and making just even that space of like, similar thing, going from the wildfires right into COVID, like, this lack of a break. And so it's, so it's in the space of need that you share, so thank you for your generosity in that, because that's really, that's a significant thing. So I'm gonna play this video, and we're gonna hope for the best. Like I said, I'm a solid 80% that this is gonna work out well, and it is a really well put, like it's a wonderful song, and just a great well produced video too. Just to say, really impressive. But without further ado, I'm gonna bring this. Here we go.
Quiet down, my soul. Be still and know. Quiet down, my mind. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. You just need to listen. You just need to draw near and take the time to find out who He is. You don't need to worry and never to fear. Just take the time and sit down with Him here. So I'll meet you in the wilderness, and I'll call your name in my distress, 'cause everything you are is all I need. I'm letting go, I've got nothing left. It's a sweet surrender.
the just looking at the response to the community that's watching this right now, it is really one of a gift that you've been able to articulate and create a space for people to enter into. This is a song for every one of us, is one of the comments. Goosebumps, so starkly beautiful. Oh my, breaking out the tissues. There's just, and it's not just about the emotional response. I think it's about the resonance, right? I think it's about the space. And this is one of the beautiful things of this time. It's like we're kind of vulnerable. We've made ourselves a bit more vulnerable to the honesty that kind of exists between us, right? The honest spaces. There's not a lot of glitz or glam for us to kind of distract ourselves into. Netflix only has so much distraction before it's just garbage. And so thank you for the gift of that. And also I think it would be appropriate, if it's okay, for us to maybe just collectively, for those who are watching right now, just to pray a blessing on you. I do feel like just hearing your story in the context, it actually, and there's another, one of the contributors earlier as well, Sarah, we were both in the same boat where just before the tornado came through, we were planning on being in Nashville for a conference that was going to happen, and then the tornado comes through, and at that point it was still, we were still going to be able to be there, but then COVID kind of came along, and that kind of shut that down. But just feeling that sense of like, you're kind of in the middle of this thing, and so some resonance in just the story. But is that okay? Can we just pray for you? And because the thing that's amazing is that Isaiah, and certainly the echoes of John the Baptist come along and say that what the Lord, there's paths that are made in the wilderness. And you speak to that. You speak of encountering Jesus in the wilderness place. And so just pray that for you, and by extension, I think maybe for all of us, that we would encounter the pathways of the Lord in the wilderness places, right? Just acknowledging that the wilderness, and this kind of wilderness that you're in and that we're in, and all sorts, all of us around the world, a wilderness that we cannot quite figure out how to find our way through, that we would discover the pathways of the Lord in that. And I thank you. I think that's, you've tapped into that with this song. Just more comments. What a beautiful song. The word that came, I'm reading a comment here. The word that came to my mind as you were singing was rest. That you, I just lost it. That you rest, as you rest in God, He is going to provide immensely for you. Thank you for sharing your story. So, how does life look like for you now then, in the wrestle of all of this and finding your way forward? It's an interesting season for all of us, but how's this looking like for you?
It's a day at a time, some days are hard, some days are better.
Yeah.
But mostly we feel thankful.
Yeah.
A lot. You might hear the kids outside. We're living in a friend's basement, and
okay,
kids between both families, and we're celebrating a birthday today. So
wow,
they're out there having fun right now.
But here's another comment that I just want to read off before we kind of let you go and bring the next presenter in. You declared that you would trust even before all the bad stuff happened, and then when it did, Jesus declared in the presence of the bad, "Have you considered my servant Abby? Such sweet love he has for you." So thank you. I hope that there's a mutual exchange here. You've provided a gift, but I think that there's a gift in return in the community. Thank you for being part of this and for sharing your gift with us. All the best in navigating the strange waters that you're in. Pray that the Lord would lead you home.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a beautiful day, and just really glad to be part of it. So thank you.
Wonderful, such a gift. Okay, and so I'm gonna move Abby back into our green room, and then you can go back and hang out with your kids outside or follow along on Facebook. But thank you so much. And now we're going to bring Jenny over. I'm just going to tell her quickly that I'm going to do that because I forgot to do that. What a gift this is. I can't get over it. I do just want to say we are a little bit over time, but I don't think anyone's going to get too worked up about this. I mean, you can always check out if you need to. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the presenters here for this session, and then of course we have one more, kind of the marathon one that takes us through to the end of the evening, which will be starting at 8. So anyway, we'll bring Jenny over into the room here. I think. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing good.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. This has been really cool.
It has been it really has been. It's such an encouraging thing to have the space together, right? And be able to hear from one another.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm quite eager and intrigued and interested to hear what you have to present. I know that we've crossed paths in the past, but I don't know much about your story by way of being able to introduce you. So I'm just going to say, hey everyone, this is Jenny, and kind of give you the floor, and then let's we'll take it from there. So
all right.
Yeah.
Thank
awesome.
you so much. So I'll introduce myself and then I'll share my screen.
Great.
We good?
Yes.
Cool. So my name's Jenny Hawkinson. I am calling in from Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm a part of the Vancouver Strathcona Vineyard Church. We're located in the downtown east side of Vancouver. And I really feel like in this time, downtown east side has been in a bit of its own isolation bubble from the rest of the world even. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, I want to say that it's been really cool to, I came in a little late, so I haven't seen everyone's presentations yet, but it's been really beautiful just to see what people have to offer. And I'm just really struck by just even this idea of like the garden and how gardeners know that there's like seasons to growing stuff in the garden. And sometimes you have like a fallow time where you kind of let the soil rejuvenate and replenish. And sometimes you have like seasons of great growth. And so some people have said like, it's okay if you're not creating right now, and it's okay to kind of like rest and let yourself feel. I feel like I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, and sometimes I feel guilty that I'm like making too much. And I don't know if anyone else out here feels that way of like, oh, I kind of feel like I have to downplay my creativity output because maybe I'm not supposed to be feeling this way right now.
You don't have to downplay anything. You just give it.
There's times and seasons for both things. So if that's for you, then whoever is out there watching, you can take that. So I just want to share some work that I've been doing, and I'm going to try to share the screen. And I did a test in the green room, so let's see how this works. I'm a visual artist. Can you see that?
We can. It looks great.
Okay, and play slideshow. So I'm a visual artist. I have, oh, wait, don't look. Okay, there we go. I do a lot of textile artwork and installation artwork. And a lot of my themes have to do with transience and displacement and just the migrant experience, but also the search for homecoming. And so the work that I was doing maybe like a couple months before the lockdown happened in Vancouver, we don't have a full out lockdown, but I was starting to collect tents and tarps from Oppenheimer Park, which is a park in the downtown east side that's about a block away from my house. And up until now, still today, there have been like 200 people living in the park. So they call it a tent city. And I've kind of just like, I have a lot of friends that live in the park, and so I stop in once in a while, and oftentimes they're clearing tents out that have been abandoned, and so I'll use that opportunity to just take different pieces of tarp and tents to use as art material later on. And my practice has always been around collecting things and making things out of them. So as I was collecting them, I started to make flags and different things. And it was funny because maybe 2 weeks after I started making the artwork, all of a sudden it was announced Vancouver was in a state of emergency. And I was like, oh, okay, so now the art stores are closed. Like, now I really am making artwork with the available resources that I have at my disposal. And so I started doing stuff in my backyard, and just kind of working with the remnants fabric of, that has come from people, fabric that's been displaced by people who have experienced displacement. And the more I worked with it, the more it became really meaningful and present to what's going on right now. And I think especially because, so in the beginning, I sort of alluded to how the downtown east side has been in this little isolation bubble. And when COVID-19 first hit, we were really quite worried about the neighborhood and like the people that have are just a lot more susceptible to disease and other things like that. And so I was personally praying, just like, God, I pray for your hand of protection and covering over this place. And it would make no sense that this place would not experience like a really difficult time, but I just want to pray a big prayer. And since then, I feel like God's really protected, like, not to say it hasn't been hard for people who are especially street involved and street entrenched, but there seems to be a grace in the midst of everything, that the Lord really is protecting people literally from the virus. And so as I'm making the artwork, I'm thinking about that. And I'm also like, my artwork is very multi-layered, and I'm always pulling out more and more layers as I go. And so I'm really inspired by the Exodus story. And so as I was making these pieces, I started kind of meditating on scriptures like this one, for I am a sojourner with you, a guest like my fathers, and thinking about how, all of us are kind of faced with our own mortality at this moment, and realizing that things are not always as important as they seem, and that we really are on this journey. And this one, and by night, a pillar of fire to give them light. So I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place. This work is really new, and I would love some feedback on it because I haven't really shown it to many people yet, and I'm still trying to figure it out as I go. But I also forgot to give you the title. The title is called Marching Orders, which is kind of a play on words. And so in part, it's like the Exodus and the Israelites marching out of Egypt, but also the people who live in Oppenheimer Park have gotten the marching orders to get out of the park and are being displaced, some into actual good housing that they need, and others will not get housing. So that's what that's about. And for me, the work is deeply spiritual. Just in terms of God's heart for the marginalized and the ones that often get overlooked. And I find it really interesting that in this time in Vancouver anyway, when there's been so much inequality and such a huge gap between the people who have and the people who do not have, all of a sudden we're in this time in this season where actually my friends in the downtown east side have way more experience with social isolation and lack of resources and stigmatization, like looked on with suspicion when they're on the street coughing or something like that. And just how interesting that is that the rest of us are kind of brought into that experience of like, oh, this is like a tiny taste of maybe what some people live through every single day. So I really find it's an invitation into, greater empathy and understanding, and like really seeing, that's how I see God is working in my city in this time. And then I'll just show this video. Oh, no, never mind. Anyways, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Marching orders.
Wow, it's thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. It's it really is. There's a strong resonance as I kind of look at these, and particularly kind of hearing the process a little bit. I think of this idea of like we can sometimes think of the medium as being just kind of in between what the point is, and like it doesn't matter how, it just matters what. But the medium that you're using is so critical. It's so crucial in part of the experience. It's not just a method of communication. It's actually tangibly, kind of incarnationally part of what you're doing. And I find that really, really compelling. And one of the themes that's coming up, I don't know if you have the Facebook feed that you're able to monitor.
I can't see it right
now. So it feels like a consistent point of feedback, or not feedback, just response, is that it feels like prayer. It feels like art as intercession, creativity as intercession. And just another word that keeps coming up is empathy. Like, and you said that yourself. Colleen Punter says, I love the bold expressions of hope. Hopeful public art is needed. Love that you're doing this.
Yeah.
Corey, these are deeply impacting me. The heartache, my heart aches for the actual displacement of people and the displacement we experience through walking in the unknown. And there's lots of comments here. Great use of material, reuse of materials. I think it's very unique and valuable art medium. Such great compassion you have towards those who have less. Yeah, I really love, and the grittiness of it is just, the tie-in to the journey piece, like I think societally, I don't know that we've been on a common journey in my living memory, not really like this. I mean, there's some incidents, 9/11 felt kind of like the world, or at least the Western world, kind of collectively gasped. But to have a shared story, a global story like this, to be on a journey and we don't actually know where the direction goes, and then to see something where you're taking mediums that are actually part of a person's means of survival, because that's the thing I see in all of the stuff you're using is what people who are marginalized use to survive, survival materials. And you're saying, a pillar of fire. Like, that feels very powerful to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually want to say something about that, or the comment about prayer and intercession. And I feel like, this work in particular that I'm making, it really does feel like it's a prayer that's just coming out of me. And it, even just using the materials and kind of like prayerfully holding it, being like, all right, Lord, what is this going to be? Or like, what do you want for this? What are you saying? And a lot of times my process is that I just get an idea and I run with it, and I don't even know why I'm doing it necessarily. So it's almost like an unconscious prayer, which is weird, but thank you.
Yeah. It's thank you for creating something that's so thought-provoking. And I think it's really important, creativity, and I don't know that I think it's a muscle too that we need to learn how to flex. We're pretty good with creativity that speaks directly into our story or makes us feel like it kind of resonates in our comfort or joy or whatever, or even pain. But creativity that invites us into somebody else's story like this, and it feels very important to me somehow. So I just really thank you for doing that. It's challenging in all the best kind of ways. There are lots of comments that are coming up.
Oh, I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, and definitely have thought-provoking is thank you. Such a gift.
Thank you.
Do you have anything, just kind of like if you wanted to take a minute or 2 minutes just to sort of leave us with a thought here in the space of this time?
Do you know, I wrote stuff down and I didn't even look at it as I was talking. I think what I've been thinking about in the last couple of weeks has been, I guess the role of the artist or the creative in general, especially in times of crisis, and just the prophetic voice that God has given us to speak into this time. And I have felt deeply impacted by the art that I've seen, just kind of created or coming to the surface or shared during this time. And it's been so, meaningful and life-giving for me. And I think people are just like, so hungry for that, but also hungry to know, like, I can't remember the verse, but my roommates and I were praying about it this morning, that like eager to see the sons and daughters of God, you know, that verse. Mm-hmm. Pastor Chris.
I can't quote it for you, but yes, I'm from, yes. Sounds
eager
right.
For the children of God to kind of like come out and say, here I am, like, this is what I believe and this is what I know to be true. So that's my exhortation for all of us in this time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this. I just really, really appreciate it. And I also just in kind of ascending parting, I don't know what I'll call it, but I just want to affirm your explosion of creativity in this season, and just go for it. Honestly, it's because it's a big story. There's room for a big story in this. And so, and also just like, I mean, we don't all grow at the same. We don't flourish at the same time. Seasons, you know, this is an interesting time that way. And so I think lots of grace for flourishing, grace for dormancy, grace for the season of roots going down, grace for all of it, you know. And so just go for it. I love that it's that it's an explosion of creative ideas for you right now. So just yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Wonderful.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, take care. And for our final presenter for this third session. Hi, Krista.
Hi. I'm nervous.
You're gonna do great. So everyone, this is Krista, and and we go back something, I don't know, 20 years ish.
Yep.
And it's I'm so happy that you're able to be part of this. And you are an artist on lots of different levels. You do visual work. You're also a songwriter and worship leader and lots of other things too. But you're, I love seeing the growth. Not the growth. That's not the right word. There's a
I think it's okay.
There's a flourishing of creativity that's coming out of just even the last number of years. I think is awesome. So I'm really glad that you're here. So welcome here. I'm going to give you the floor, and then you can just tell me when you want me to play your video, and I'll play it for you. So
sounds great. Thank you.
All right, awesome.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is I found this amazing quote yesterday, and I want to read it. It's from C.S. Lewis. Even in social life, you will never make a good impression on other people until you stop thinking about what sort of impression you are making. Even in literature and art, no man who bothers about originality will ever be original. Whereas if you simply try to tell the truth without caring twopence how often it has been told before, you will 9 times out of 10 become original without ever having noticed it. And so I love this quote because it makes me think of, just whenever I want to create something, especially when I think of songwriting, I feel like, wow, who am I to write a song? Like, this person's done it, and this person has done it, and this person's already said it. And but I know that God has been showing me lately that I have something to say too. I'm made in his image, and what I have to say is important. And, you know, who cares where it goes? Like, it'll go where he wants it to go. So that gives me hope and encouragement, and that keeps me fueled. And I resonate with what Krista Hyde was talking about today too, about process art. And I just love the process. I love when I'm creating something, and I was talking to the girl who was just on too. I can't remember her name right now, but we were talking about the process and just how sometimes it doesn't turn into something. Like sometimes it'll just be a fragment of, you know, just creation, and like maybe it will never go anywhere. And for me, that's okay, because I just love playing. And I love coming to a piece of work just being like, okay, how can I have some fun here? What can I do with this? And I love creating. Like, I love the funness of it. And this week I had a spiritual direction moment, and she recommended that I write a lament with the COVID-19 stuff going on. And so I just want to share that with you. And there might be some things here that you're like, wow, that I don't agree with that in here, but this is my experience, and it's okay. And I'm just like, I'm going to share it with you. And these are the things that are bothering me. So I'm going to that's what the lament is for. And I encourage everybody, if you would like to write a lament about what's happening, wow, it was so cathartic for me. So here it is. Can you hear me, God? Can you see me, God? I need you. I need to know you are working, that you are acting. I need to know that you're protecting, that you are helping me and my family. I need to see that you are more powerful than this virus. How long, oh Lord, will we be confined to these prisons of hopelessness and despair? Can't go here, can't go there. Don't touch, don't breathe. Stay back, stay away. How long will we be surrounded and suffocated by our fear? All day and all night, the other voices try to deafen me with their lies. Where are you? I can't see you in the fog of confusion and disinformation. Constantly, I'm smothered by the emails, phone calls, headlines, texts of bad news reels, of restrictions of my freedom. Threats of mandatory vaccinations haunt my innermost thoughts and cause fear for my health, of my family's, and my family's health. Intuitive premonitions of evil lurking behind the doors of those who govern chase in and out of the hallways of my mind. Fear is knitting a knit of enticement to partner with a phobic future of death and loss. The constant gnawing feeling of being unprepared. Not enough oil for this lamp. To lose my husband. I'm afraid to lose my provider. But that's a lie. You alone are God. You alone are my provider. Not knowing all the details, not wanting to know the details. Denial. Friendship with denial keeps me in the dark, ignorant and weak. Feeling dull, like I should be shining. Should be full, should be overflowing, should be. It's pure striving. Avoiding your supposed glare, but yet yearning to see your face and have our eyes lock, the intimate exchange of deep knowing. Hold me, Jesus. Tell me it's going to be okay. Tell me you got a plan. You can redeem and remake things. Turn me around to see it all through your eyes. Hold me close. Hold on to me now and point out your vision for the future. You see all. You know all. You won't let me go. I belong to you. My life is in your hands. Our lives are in your hands. So I will rest in my weak state. Resting in you becomes my weapon of overcoming. I will feel the power of your strength as I lean on you with unrestraint. Your strong arms encircle me, and your love holds me together. So that was just an amazing experience for me to just write that all out, because those thoughts were just going on around in my mind, and just to get them on paper, that was awesome. And you know what? I didn't care if it was perfect. I was just like, I just got to get this out of me. So there you go. And I'm just going to prep up why I chose this song. It's called You Keep Me. It comes from a Bible verse in Isaiah. Shoot, my battery's running low here. From Isaiah 26, verse 3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. And I had an experience where I was really afraid of losing something, and the fear was paralyzing. And God gave me this verse, and every time fear would come to me and like haunt me, I just kept this verse in my mind, and I would just think about who God was and how much he loves me, and just keep my focus on him. And I feel like this is the most amazing life practice, because exalting God over our trials and over our fear is the best weapon. And this inspired the song. So we'll go ahead and play it.
Thanks, Krista. And I think, so probably what we'll do is we'll allow the song to kind of sew up the session here, because we're gonna break until 8. So I just want to take a minute before we play the song, just to sort of just to speak into the resonances with the unfiltered heart of David that we hear in the Psalms, and this practice of just having a space where we can. And I really I love the way you framed that. You know, this might not be exactly your lament, but this is my lament, and we need to have a place to articulate those things. And I mean, the scriptures are full of it, and powerful art comes from it. And so, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, and thank you for the gift of the song too, which is a lovely one. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I just really I'm thankful for you, Krista. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Great work.
Here we go, everyone.
My name's Krista Tilley, and this song is You Keep Me.
Okay, there we go.
Jesus, my Prince of Peace, I'm casting all my cares upon you. Jesus, oh, draw me near, take all these anxious thoughts stays on you, stays on you. I will trust in you.
Lovely, thank you. Oh, yeah, that's. I'll fix that in a second. That's a funny effect here. Hey, listen, thank you for this, and I just, you know what, I really do feel just the resonance of the psalmist in this, right? You know, because that is a declaration of the other side of the story, right? There's the place where we need to not just shove our fears, anxieties, uncertainties away as if they're not there, and yet, you know, we can step into these places and know that God is our comfort. And so, thank you for that gift. There's some comments, people resonating. Resting becomes my weapon of overcoming. I love this. Just people,
Graham Cook.
Yeah, people resonating with people resonating with just the honesty and the sense of the full circle from fear to resolution, which is expressed throughout this. So, thank you so much, Krista. I'm so glad that you volunteered to be part of this. And,
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to break. We're a little over time, but we're going to get started again at 8 and 8 Eastern. So that's in about 50 minutes, 40 minutes. So we'll see you back here for those who can join us. And this will kind of be the marathon. We basically will go until we're done. So it'll be something like, we'll be going till around 11 o'clock Eastern. And so just thank you so much for everyone's contributions, both with the artists and creatives, and also with those who are interacting on Facebook and tuning into this. It feels like a beautiful expression of community. So just really grateful for everyone. And we'll see you all in about 40-ish minutes. All right. Take care, everybody.